All right, good morning, Austin New Church. Thanks for being here this morning. We have a lot today. This has just been a wild week of things. But if I don't know you yet, my name is Mark. It's great to see you guys. It's great to have you here. I brought in some friends this Sunday that I've been so excited to have here. I think when I took over for the music here back in March, probably that next day, I reached out to my friends, and they're from Chattanooga, and we met back in 2019 when I had just started helping with the music here, and I knew I wanted them to come back, but they have some just great songs. We're gonna share a few of them with you today, but I got to know them because Sydney and her mom Deirdre kind of cornered me in the foyer back there. Where the best place to corner anyone, on the way to the toilet. It worked out really well. A good sense of urgency, really does a lot to a conversation. And so much of their story and my story align, and at least until that point, we had just decided, okay, let's write some songs and see what happens. But I'm gonna let Sydney and Braden tell you just a little bit about these first two songs that we're gonna sing of theirs. And these are actually on Spotify right now, but they also have another album coming out in February that they're going to come back and sing some of those with us in February or March. So we're going to work that out. So let's give Sydney and Braden a big round of applause, a good welcome. Tell us a little bit about these. Yeah.
Wow. Thanks for having us. We're super excited to be here. We also just love singing with Mark. It's bringing so much joy to our lives right now. One of the second song that we're going to be playing today, I was going to talk a little bit about I'll Stay. We're siblings, so I'm Sydney, this is my brother Braden, and a lot of the songs that we write about are based on our own mental health experiences. And actually, the reason that we're even here today is because we lived in an RV in 2019 for 11 months, and Austin was one of our stops during that RV trip. And that's where we came to visit this church, and you'll hear more about our story later. But during that trip, that's when my brother and I started writing our own songs for the first time and really experimenting with what stories we wanted to share, not just about ourselves, but also the stories of other people that we got to listen to while we were in that RV trip. And I'll Stay was the first song that we wrote together. So we're going to be singing that one, but my brother's going to share the first song that we're going to be singing as well.
Hey everybody, my name is Braden, and how you guys doing? Good? Yeah, awesome. So this first song we're going to be singing is called My Head, My Heart. I wrote this a good while back, and it's kind of plays into my story. So I struggle a lot with mental health, and with this song specifically, it's talking about how I struggled a lot with my thoughts, and so My Head, My Heart is basically playing into how at the end of the day we're all going to struggle with something, but we shouldn't be relying just on our head but also our heart. How you perceive me. Am I some darkness that haunts your door? A shadow you want to ignore? So I remain outside in the cold, where my ghosts kill a light I try to hold. 'Cause I'm afraid for you to see, with all these demons hidden within me. And
Is this how it was designed? With a delicate mind, I'm always wondering how I am defined in your eyes. Wanna be the hero of the story, not this villain that my mind makes me out to be. Is this how you see me? 'Cause I've been looking in the mirror, just see the flaws in my eyes, to point out all the demons I hide in the quiet. The voices never silent, they're trying to draw me closer to the dark. In my head, but not my heart, not my heart, not my heart.
Scaling the peak, a speckle flies above me. A canvas of green, I've made my life here. Oh no,
Looking into your eyes, catch a spark that ignites the heart, stronger than a fire. No curtains to hide behind.
oh, a sparrow fly. We know you too well, so let us comfort you. Words can't cover up what you're going through.
I know it's hard to say,
But you can tell me the truth. No harm,
get lost in your eyes.
I'll stay here with you. I'll stay. Well, I'll stay. I'll stay. Well, I'll stay. And I know you're tired. I can see it in your eyes. This way you carry doesn't have to last much longer with me at your side.
Charles, come on up here. Let's do this. You got one somewhere. Yeah. We got the handheld back there. We're organized this morning. It's the way it is. It's the way it is. I love it. I love it.
Charles could probably shout without the microphone. Couldn't you?
Have we let Charles have a microphone yet?
Yes, we have.
Okay. It's one of my favorite things. Let's go, Charles. Come on.
Good morning. Welcome. My name is Charles. I've been here less than a year, and two things I've learned about ANC is that, one, you're going to be loved, you're going to be seen, you're going to be valued and appreciated for who you are and how you are, and we do that here because we believe God treats you that same way. We believe God sees you and loves you just as you are for who you are. The other thing I've learned being here is that I'm about to read a list of some activities that if you engage with those lists, you meet people, you get yourself known, you make some new friends, and you grow in your faith. So wherever you are in your faith journey, just join something, be a part of something, and get to know people while you're here. So first thing I'd like to say is, I'm going to try to keep up with the slides over here, is welcome. We've got the QR code. You can go there and tell us you're here, get some information. There's all kinds of things you can do on the website. You can sign up to meet with our pastors, Catherine or Jason, and just learn everything that's going on here. It's all on the website. The next thing I would say is, just if you want to give to support the work here at ANC, you can do that in any number of ways. We'll accept cash checks, but we also have a QR code where you can set up your just a regular scheduled donation if you want to do that, or just make a one-time, whatever you feel called or led to do. One big event that's coming up very soon is the annual family reunion. That's going to be November 14th through the 16th. This is for folks who may be watching us on TV or on computer. So if you see us and you're not here physically present with us on a regular basis, make effort to join our family reunion. We want to connect with the people who are connecting with us virtually as well. So there's going to be a number of activities over that weekend. So please make time to come and join us. Come in from out of town if you need to. We're just going to have a great time. More details are going to be forthcoming. There's several things coming up in the next week. First of all, we have got I'm going to get to this one in a minute because I don't have on my list here. Today is the first Sunday in October. We have the tradition of our first Sunday lunch. So if you go out of the parking lot and turn left, go down a couple miles, you're on Lamar, you're going to get to Pint House Pizza. Just go straight there after church. You'll find people from ANC gathering, kind of saving some seats, and we just kind of sit together and have a meal together just to get to know some people and visit. So that's our first Sunday lunch. We're also tomorrow night at 7:30. We're doing the writers group. I think that's going to be at Mark's house again. But you can email Catherine to get the details and the address and those things. This is something I've done that I really enjoy. So if you just like words or you like writing, there's no judgment. There's no expertise required. If you just like to read and write and have a good conversation, join us there. We also have mental health professionals meetup coming up. That's going to be on Thursday at Radio Coffee South at 7 p.m. This is for anyone in the mental health profession. So whether you're a counselor, social worker, psychologist, whatever you do in that field, feel free to join us for the mental health professionals meetup. The Artist Way group is meeting next Sunday at 1 p.m. here at ANC. What they typically do is just kind of go grab some food, bring it back here with whatever artistic project you may be working on, and it can be anything. And they just sit and enjoy conversation, just artists being together. And that is a really unique assembly that you will enjoy if that is something that's in your line. Next thing that's happening this week, and I don't think we have a slide for this one, but today, from 3 to 5 p.m., Melinda is hosting at her home ice cream and a living room concert for our young people. This is for our youth. But it's a concert. It's from Be the Change Youth Initiative. So text Melinda or reach out to her if you'd like some information about attending that event if you're in our youth group here at ANC. So as the slide says, on the 19th, we're going to have a big kickball tournament. I haven't been here for that before. I'm going to try to play. We'll see how this goes. I have a trip coming up on the 20th, so I'm a little nervous about pulling a hamstring or something when I get out there. So we'll see how that goes. But come out and play kickball on the 19th. Next thing, if you're a volunteer or a donor, Kara and Jason are hosting a little reception at their house on the 26th. October 26th at 5 p.m. for a special evening of wine and bites, just to show appreciation for the many ways this community gives and volunteers to support our faith community. So again, go to the website, all kinds of good information out there, so make time to check out the website. And now, like we usually do, we're going to stand up if you feel comfortable, if you're willing and able, just to shake somebody's hands, meet somebody. And it has been officially fall now for a week or so. So just talk a little about what do you love about fall?
Right. Huh? First we get you talking, then we tell you to be quiet. Get used to church. Deidre, Braden, Sydney, join me on stage. All right. So today we have a real treat in store. It isn't often that I give up the reins on a Sunday morning. I kind of love what I do, to be honest. But this is right between two retreats. So ANC, board and staff, and others are on a retreat. Here, why don't you hold this? Somewhere north of here in Red Country, where we roll up our windows and we cover our bumper stickers and just kind of sneak into the little Catholic camp where they're hanging out. I bolted back early to cover the service since Catherine's there, but I have to catch a plane to go to do another retreat in Colorado immediately after this. But Mark a while ago had a dream, and the dream was we need to intersect these two things again, and we're going to tell the story of how we came to be instrumental in your formation, the ministry you guys lead, and sort of what that could mean for, let's just say, perchance you're sitting on something God has called you to do, and you sometimes wonder, let's just say hypothetically, whether or not God might do that, right? And so what do you do with that thing you're incubating? Today's story hopefully will give you some perspective on what happens when you take a first couple of courageous steps and see what God could do. Okay, so Deidre, tell us the story, how you and I met. It was super shitey. You just reminded me in the green room, in the black sheep room. I was really rude in the beginning, but tell me this is going back to 2019, right? So shocked. Who's so surprised? I don't know if you guys want to look at the questions, but you probably don't need them. Tell ANC how we met and why that matters.
Yeah. So
We got to turn it on.
Oh.
We're professionals up in this place sometimes. There you go.
Yeah, so we're originally from Portland, Maine. Sydney is 24 now. She started Be the Change, which is the nonprofit that we run, when she was 15. And we went on the road with Be the Change. And the backstory is also kind of important. She wanted to raise enough money for her 15th birthday to fund a wish for a child for Make-A-Wish. And my husband and I used to be wish granters for Make-A-Wish. And realizing she was 14, didn't have a job, she's like, I need to get other friends to help. And so she went to her youth group, but her youth pastor actually told all the kids not to help her. He was very misogynistic. That's something we were not aware of at the time. And so thankfully, parents stepped in and were like, actually, this is something we should be encouraging our kids to do. And after everything was said and done, they raised the money. It took them 6 months, but these 12 kids raised the money. Sydney's like, this should not be happening, especially in the church. So can we create something? So that's what we did. So Be the Change started as this way to help kids as young as 5 find their gifts, use their gifts, and turn them into micro fundraisers. And if we pull all that money together, what can we do? And so we took it on the road in 2019 because we were actually working with a chapter of Make-A-Wish in Houston. And so our plan was for Sydney to perform. At that point, she had been working in Nashville, so she had been traveling back and forth from Maine to Nashville every month for about a year and a half. We took it on the road, and she performed. We did some fundraisers, and also we started going to churches. So we grew up in an evangelical, very conservative background, and we decided when we were on the road, we were going to go to a different church across the theological spectrum, because we wanted to experience it, have our kids experience it, and have conversations after it. What happened, though, is they actually performed at a church in Austin called Mosaic, and they were asked to speak to the youth about mental health because they had had a teenage student attempt suicide. And so Sydney talked about her mental health struggles, Braden talked about his, and that student happened to be there in the audience and came up to Sydney afterwards and just said, "I wish I had known. No one talks about mental health, especially in the church." And so the youth pastor actually challenged our family to stay on the road. We stayed on the road for a year. And we happened to be in Austin during that time, and several of my friends back home said, "Are you gonna go to Austin New Church?" And I was like, no, why would I do that? And so, but I did. And I confess, I came with very nefarious motives. I came looking for a reason to pick the church apart.
So easy, I could have given you a list. You could have emailed me. She said in the prayer room, "I just wanted to find some heresy." I'm like, well, it's everywhere. You didn't find it?
But it was really interesting because my husband, he used to be a federal prosecutor with the Department of Justice. And that Sunday, the whole sermon, Jason spoke about the outreach that this church had at the border. And my husband was so fascinated by it. And like Mark said, Sydney cornered him, said, "Hey, you want to write a song with me?" And so we ended up staying for a couple of days. And my husband said to Mark, "Do you think your pastor would meet with us?" And he's like, "I'll ask him." And sure enough, Jason took us to breakfast. I don't remember the place we went to, but
it's a terrible little place down in Buda, a little taco place. Chavello's. That just came to me. Chavello's. Sorry.
And we talked for an hour and a half. It was a great conversation until the last 5 minutes, and it was still a great conversation. But those 5 minutes, like when I say it changed my life, it drastically changed the course of my life. And he just flippantly said, "Well, I'm probably going to get kicked out of my denomination." And I was like, "Well, why?" He's like, "Well, because I marry gay couples." And my husband said, "Deirdre, your face went white." And then he followed that up, Jason followed that up with saying that, places like DTS, Dallas Theological Seminary, and Dallas Bible Church call me a heretic. Okay, I graduated from DTS. I have my master's in biblical and theological studies from Dallas Theological Seminary. And our family was actually spending the night with some of the elders of Dallas Bible Church that night.
So pause. So listen, in my defense, I had been involved in a kind of protracted social media sort of standoff with the then president of DTS. I don't know if I told you that, but we'd exchanged some words, and I was feeling pretty smug. At the time, still took social media seriously as if it was about being social and not commercial. Don't do that anymore. I've learned my lesson. But that was kind of the backstory to that. And I don't have any idea why I would flippantly say something dumb like that. I've never made that mistake again, except every day. Anyway, here's part of my story, and this you guys will connect with this. In the early days when ANC began its inclusion journey, there was a bit of a different national focus on what we were doing. People wanted to know, how are you going to do this? And before we succeeded at sticking the landing, people were pretty convinced we wouldn't. And so I got a lot of people asking often if we're crazy. And so we would sit down, and I learned not to do this, and I'm sorry I confused you with one of those people, but people would want to sit down, and what they really want to do is barf all over you the reasons why you've lost your mind. And I just don't have time for you anymore. I just don't. And I sent you that signal, didn't I? In fact, you said, "Can we stay in touch?" And I said, "No." Yeah. Oh, that's so great. Carrie, okay, sorry.
No, well, and that's what happened. So when I told Jason that, my husband said, then Jason went white. And Jason was like, why are you here with me?
Yeah.
And I said, and I remember this moment, it is seared in my brain. I was like, I don't really know. I was like, but I can't ignore the last hour and a half. And I see Jesus and the work this church is doing, and I see the Holy Spirit in this conversation, and now I don't know what the hell to do with that. And so I left, and we went to stay with this family in Dallas, and their response was kind of like the final nail in the coffin for me, because they're like, why would you even enter that place? And I was like, oh, there's something wrong here. And so I texted Jason. I was like, hey, you don't owe me anything. You don't know me. I was like, I feel like the Lord is about to take me on a journey, and I would really like to keep in touch with you because I feel like you could help me process. And he was like, no.
Yeah.
But he texted me 2 days later, and he's like, actually, I think I'm supposed to. And that's how the journey started.
And then she reminded me today that I gave her some homework. What was the homework?
Yeah, so, oh, gosh, okay.
So bad, so terrible.
Please, don't hold it against me. I swear I'm reformed. But he was like, we were getting ready to head to Washington State. And he said, hey, I would like for you to try to find someone who is in the LGBTQ community that loves Jesus and have a conversation. And so I didn't know anyone in Washington. So I reached back home, out to people back home in Maine, and all three people that responded gave me the same person. It was a young man who lived in Maine who now lives in Washington. And I reached out to him on Facebook, and he refused to meet with me. And the reason is because when he came out, several young women that I discipled really just treated him horribly. And he was like, I know you discipled them. He's like, I have nothing to say to you. Well, yeah. So I apologized profusely. And I said, I really just want to hear about your relationship with Jesus and what that looks like. I'm not, you owe me nothing. I'm just curious. And again, he said no, but 2 days later, he texted me back on Facebook, and he was like, I'll meet with you for 30 minutes. So I met with him for 2.5 hours, and it was the best conversation I had. But I just remember in between those spaces of him telling me no and me meeting with him, we were in Montana in an RV park, and I was like, can you talk to me, Jason? And he was like, yes. And so I remember walking up and down these RVs, like just pacing, talking to Jason. I was like, walk me through it. And I remember distinctly there was this moment where he laughed. I was like, what are you laughing at? I'm in crisis. And he's like, because you're starting to get it.
Also, you're getting it from purgatory, which is how I would say an RV in Montana. RV camp in Montana. I don't really believe in hell, but I'm pretty sure that's pretty close. But anyway.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So anyway, that's the backstory of how we're here. So this church and Jason has played such a pivotal part in my life and my story and the impact that we have with Be the Change.
So we can stay in touch. I'll communicate with you now. I'm just... sometimes it's easy to forget. We've covered a lot of ground. I'm hearing Chris chirp over here. You've covered it with us. We've covered a lot of ground in the last few years. It'd be easy to walk in here and think, oh, it's just this, it's just what it is. It is what it is, but y'all, 99.9% of everyone who was part of it at one point in the past, at some point bailed because of the transition we went through. And it's easy as a pastor to forget how important this work is. In fact, we ask ourselves all the time, pastors do, about why do we even continue doing this? If it's a small number of people, does it matter? Is there something else I could do with my life that would be of greater impact? This is a question the progressive church lives with, right? So you guys know this to be true. The big churches that are full of money and programs and got all the bells and whistles are not progressive churches. They're the churches that still can scare people into their pew with the motivations of let's keep you out of hell, let's make sure you vote right, all the things. You guys know all this stuff. So churches like ours, we ask ourselves the question, I have this rolling conversation that never has a period, it just has a semicolon with Stan, who we love. Like, why are we doing this? Why does this matter? It matters because of conversations like that over tacos. So tell me now, as we transition to, I want to hear from you guys a little bit about Be the Change. What was it like before you came here? And how has the journey you've been on of inclusion, I guess, coming out of COVID, how has it impacted Be the Change?
Yeah, so before my mom had mentioned that we grew up in a pretty conservative setting. I mean, I was homeschooled since 3rd grade. Brandon was homeschooled throughout the rest of his life. And even though we grew up in Maine, which a lot of people seem as like this very progressive state, we were in a very conservative bubble, especially with the homeschool community and the church that we were going to at the time. And so much of the conversation that we now enter, a lot of people didn't even know how to talk about, let alone LGBTQ rights, but also the mental health conversation, especially before COVID. The stigma around mental health was such a massive scope.
Right.
And for us, I'm not going to speak for you because you can share a little bit more of your story, but he started struggling a lot with mental health, and there wasn't a lot of resources at the time. And at the church that we were attending before we entered into the RV, I remember my mom sharing a conversation that she had, bringing up to our pastor, who we were really close with, and just saying that this is Braden struggling, we have no idea how to get help, and he had a counseling background, and he basically was like, go to Focus on the Family, you can find your stuff there.
Oh my.
And so at that point, especially hearing this, not just as an older sister, but also as someone who was already having my own questions and my own doubt about faith, it was a really big stretch for me, because I was like, this is someone who says that he believes in Jesus and says that he believes in the actions of Jesus, but is turning our family away when my parents don't know what the hell to do for my brother.
Yeah.
And it was just a devastating thing. And so I think before the RV, I was having a lot of my own doubt. I was ready to walk away from God completely. I would say I probably was in that span of time being like, I don't believe in God. I don't want to be a part of a church. I'm done with all of this. And then because of the RV experience, where we really got to meet other people from all different religious backgrounds, have those conversations, people that were willing to enter into those conversations, that was a big pivotal moment for me, because I saw that there's so much outside of the bubble that I grew up in, and there's a lot of questions that I had growing up in that bubble that I was like, this can't be right, this doesn't sit well with my soul, and there has to be something more. And the RV experience and meeting those people was the catalyst for being able to say, like, oh, there's something else. Like, there's a different path. You don't have to just take this one trajectory and this isn't the right way to do things.
Right.
There's so many different avenues, and so much of faith is just going through that doubt. It's like we all experience doubt,
Yep.
and that, I think, is the catalyst in order to create some sort of positive change. And so I think for us, the RV trip was definitely important in that aspect, for sure.
Okay, cool. So we've been talking about thought-germinating cliches. I wonder if you noticed my T-shirt today, y'all. You see that? Amazon can send that to your house for $22. We didn't design that, we stole that, but I'm just gonna, whatever. Thinking about thought-terminating cliches, I want to hear from you, Braden, because if you wrote that first song?
The majority of it.
Yeah. Tell me what the church's first response to, hey, I'm struggling with mental health. How did they shut that down? And then what's the actual truth about what kids need? I want to hear from you, and I want about another 36 records from you on that theme, from head to heart. Yeah.
I'll get on that. So personal experience. I was really young when I started struggling with mental health. I was like going to 14, so I didn't really pay too much attention to how my struggles really affected the church, but they obviously did. But growing up, I would say that once I started to talk to the youth that we were in the spaces with, I got to hear a lot of their stories and got to hear their struggles and be with them in that. And yeah, so when it comes to their relationship with the church, it was awful. They felt like they would have to hide or pretend to be somebody else, pretend to not struggle with a lot of the stuff that they were dealing with. And yeah, you could just tell, like, when you were looking at them in their eyes, you could see this burden that was just growing over time and that they were carrying. And for me, I was able to recognize that pretty much immediately, because I also, when I would look in the mirror, I saw the same thing. Which my head, my heart actually dives into a bit of that. I would say that the majority of churches that I've been to don't really know how to handle the conversation of mental health.
Right.
And which obviously I think there are a handful of churches that do know how to handle that conversation. I think this is one of them.
And one of the ways we do that is it's not the pastor's job to deal with mental health. I'm not a clinician. You guys know my education track. It wasn't clinic. It was theology. It was research. but we're a church that willingly and open-heartedly refers people all period time to clinicians, because I don't believe in biblical counseling from someone who's never been trained to do that. Thank you, right? Yeah. When I grew up in the 80s and 90s, before your time, but when we grew up, the church didn't know what to do with people that would willingly stand out there and say, I'm here and I'm gay. It created a crisis. And then people who stood out there and said, I'm here, I pray hard, my mental health is in need of something, some kind of support other than just praying and coming to church. The church didn't know what to do with that. Most movements and reforms of the church happen when people are courageous enough to stand there and say, it's not working for me. What am I not doing right? And logging on to a website that's designed to really demure your mental health and make your spiritual perfection sort of your idealized sort of self be your public persona, that kind of public evangelical Christianity is just never going to solve that dark night when you're wondering, is it worth it? Is it worth hanging in there? So thank you for the work you do. 36 more records and no, but I actually mean that, because art that articulates that long jump from head to heart, I think is needed.
Well, I want to add something real quick, kind of to carry on that last end of the question. If you know somebody that is struggling with their mental health, I think the most important thing that you can do is give them the space to talk about what they're struggling with if they want to, because you don't want to force them into anything. But if you provide that space that they can willingly go into, with this open-mindedness, it's really important. And I've seen a lot of hearts and people change through that. But yeah.
So this has to have impacted where you work, how you fund Be the Change, how you do your fundraising. You're connected now with the dark side. We're going to mess up your reputation. How have you guys navigated all of this, and sort of what's next for you guys? That sort of thing. Yeah.
One of the things we talk about is we are grassroots, and so we don't get a lot of funding, period. So this is a labor of love, and what's been great is because we have been very open and honest about who we are. We can sit there and say to people, no, we're not going to engage in this. We don't need your money. We're really lucky that whenever we can't make payroll, someone miraculously gives us a $10,000 check without explanation. It's happened so many times, which I'm kind of hoping happens soon because we can't make payroll next month. So, but there's a beauty in it because people also come to us because we can say the hard things. And a great example of that was right before school started, there was a suicide in our community of a 9th grade student in the LGBTQ community. And a week later, our county actually ended a contract with a counseling service that was mandated by our state, the state of Tennessee. And so 2,600 kids lost free counseling. And you would think, why? What? Especially in light of Silas losing his life, and they were very open and honest in saying that Moms for Liberty really pressured them. And so I was asked to come in and speak at a school board meeting and to talk about that. And it was very jarring because I walk into this space, it was filled with an overflow, with 2 groups of people, one holding pictures of Silas and other students in our district who had lost their lives to suicide, and Moms for Liberty holding pictures of Charlie Kirk. And and so what I did is I went into that space and I talked about the one thing that I can talk about, how I used to be a part of a cult that really put the pressure on politicians to do the most harmful things in the name of Jesus, and how they are creating a problem with our kids because they are telling them that their lives don't matter. Yep. And I it put a bullseye on my back with Moms for Liberty. But again, I don't care.
You should be fine if they're for liberty. It should include your liberty,
right?
Oh, but wait. Yeah. Little asterisk by it.
Yeah, but I can tell you countless other stories, and the one that I think is the most important. Sydney, we went to Hickman County, which is right outside of Nashville. We did 8 presentations to all of their high school and middle school students in the course of 2 days. And one of the very last days, or last presentations, this young girl waited to talk to Sydney, handed her a poem, asked her to read it, and then asked her to write a song about it. And the gist of it is this young girl witnessed her older sister attempt suicide with a handgun in front of her. She survived. And she just said to Sydney, she's like, please, will you write a song about this story, my story, and will you share it? Because adults don't listen to us. And so, and I know that Sydney takes that, and Braden, they take that to heart, they honor it, they take it so seriously. Sydney wrote a song called 11. They were actually asked to be a part of TEDx because of that song. And like, all of that's great, but the most meaningful, impactful thing was when that song was released. Her name was Ellie. She sent us an email to Sydney and was like, thank you for sharing my story in a way I never could. And Sydney said, I'm just holding space for when you're ready to share it. And I think that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to hold space for this generation because they are incredible, they're courageous, they are advocates, they care about our communities and mental health, and we're trying to lead the way and provide that space for them to share their stories in a poignant way.
Feels like the Lord's work to me. But this, of course, means you straddle, and I think you have a particular grace to do this well. You do still straddle a world that is both evangelical and probably not going to change, and the progressive space like this one. And how do you do that with a straight face? How do you do that well? How do you not learn, how do you not burn connections on both sides of that sort of canyon, right?
Well, some of them I do burn.
Yeah.
But because I think building bridges, well, the best advice I've been given is that in order to build bridges, you gotta unearth both sides. And if you're going and trying to build a bridge with someone whose foundation is cement, like they are not going to move, that is not a bridge that you can build.
Right.
And so, I'm on the board of a national organization called the New Evangelicals, and I feel like I'm on my position on that board is really because of this conversation, because I came from that side. And through my conversations with Jason, like I was able to see things differently, right? To find a better path forward. And there are so many people that I have talked to just in our own community. I've spent the last year going to a different church every Sunday and talking to people. That has been my own personal project. And there are people that are stuck in some churches that want out and they don't know how to get out. And they're asking good questions. And I think creating a space where people can be curious without condemnation. Because if you had stuck to that and not being willing to talk to me, I wouldn't be here. Like we wouldn't be doing this today. And so you have to be open to the people that are curious. And I think the prayer is help me find the people that are curious.
So you had a dangerous conversation because you shouldn't have really been talking to me and you knew it.
Definitely not.
So have those. Yeah, so we were sitting on Tuesday morning in staff meeting, sort of contemplating how to shape this. And of course, these guys are singing tonight at Melinda's house. So you don't want to miss this living room concert tonight if you've got the capacity to go connect with Melinda about that. But the conversation on Tuesday was how do we wrap this up? How do we end this? It's an amazing story. But really, if you look at it, right, it's an encouragement. And the question for you is, what are you sitting on that you should make a couple of real dangerous, bold moves around and see what God might do? You know, it's a strange thing to be reminded of a single conversation you had at a really below average Mexican taco place in a very below average town south of Austin. Sorry, there's a lot of story there, but if you take those conversations seriously, you just don't know what might impact later. And really, the heart of what my encouragement was to you, to go find someone who's in this community and connect with them at a heart level, because I can't do that for you. I can't rationalize for you why it makes sense to love across this sort of fault line. But y'all, we're reinventing it as we go, and these places matter. I hope you leave today thinking, gosh, it just feels like a little simple church, but it's also important. We're protecting a tiny little flame that I hope to God someday becomes a massive movement. It's not going to be in church buildings. I can already tell you, I feel strongly that it won't. It won't have this hub in the center of professional academic clergy that teach people how to think. It's not going to be that, but it will be kids finding reasons to stay alive. It will be parents finding reasons to leave communities that won't accommodate their children's whole self, because by God, more important than your church is your child. Always side with your child friends over your organizations. Always. Just always don't question that. If we can start a few conversations around that, then this tiny little pilot light might become part of a movement. Y'all, I'm obsessed with history. I don't want to look back and say we blew it. We got off the bus because it was bumpy right before it took off and flew. It's a terrible word picture. Buses don't fly. The magic school bus does. Okay. All right. So finally, what encouragement would you guys give to our mostly parents? I can't see that many kids. I see some tabs out there. What encouragement would you guys give to the parents in this community? And then let's reset to the Eucharist and let's bolt. Go for it.
I think this kind of plays into your conversation, both you and Mom. Embrace the uncomfortable. I know that when Sydney and I go into schools and do all these presentations and talk to these students, it is fucking uncomfortable. Like, it really is.
Plain spoken people. Amen. Yeah, love it. Sorry.
Love it.
Sorry,
Awesome.
iTunes. Anyway, carry on.
Sorry. Oh my
you're
God,
good, you're
sorry.
good, you're good.
That's my bad.
Hey, when you see the little E, download it anyway. It doesn't matter. It's just because somebody in Mumbai decided that that's E. Anyway, carry on.
Okay, no, it is really uncomfortable and it is difficult because some of these students, some of these youth, like they have really intense stories, and just to be there, be intentional, like give them your undivided attention, show them that you care in that way. It's difficult, but it's worth it. So that's what I would say.
I think to feed off of that, for me, I think what was really crucial in my own development as we were walking Be the Change Out, I mean, I started this at a really young age. And at first, when I told my parents that I wanted to do this, I mean, you laughed. You were like, no. You're like, that's insane. Why would you do that? Because they were both college educated. I was not wanting to go to college at that point. And then my mom came back to me and she apologized. And she was just like, you are my kid, but at the same time, like, you're God's. And I just have to open, like, what's that? You gave, like, it was like you were a book.
Yeah, the analogy is that you are not a blank journal that I help write the story. Your story is already written. I just have to give you the tools to understand it and live it out.
Powerful.
Yeah. And she had said that to me, and I remember that being, like, I think the first turning point that made sense and clicked in my head, where my parents, they're giving me the freedom to walk this out. They're helping me figure this out. They gave me the freedom to doubt whether or not God was real. And I think that's sometimes the best thing that you can do for your kids. Because your kids already have an idea of, this is something that I enjoy, this is something I'm passionate about, and you're just there to empower and encourage them and help them figure that out and walk that out along the way. And I think for me, now looking back on it, I'm grateful that was what happened, because I was like, now I get to do this thing, and we get to, like, partner and meet amazing people that have such a great desire in order to inspire and empower and uplift, give opportunities to so many other youth that we work with. And I mean, that's why we do what we do. It's because of the youth that we get to meet and we get to have conversations with along the way. And it really starts from the parents being like, all right, kid, let's just do this thing, and let's empower you to just take that next step forward.
I love that. Thank you guys so much. Let's give them some love. Ready? We'll keep in front of you the details related to the record launch. There's already some music on Spotify, and then we'll think thoughtfully and critically about ways that we can support what they're doing. Okay, more music.
Let's do it. We've got another one of their songs. If you're on Spotify or Apple Music or anywhere that you listen to music, their band is called In the Company of Wolves. That is very fitting. So we're gonna sing one of Sydney's, and we'll see if I can get through playing it. You guys are the best.
shut for some time, lift your head, gaze into mine. On nights like the one tonight, when your mind's all blocked, it's the one your heart won't let you fall. Keep your hope, I think the sun is rising. On the nights when you question what is coming, mighty heart, we're marching into something. Investing love to love into a weapon. Some might say your heart is but a weakness. Bring no minds, the hatred and the madness. Hope is breath when encompassed in darkness. Place your worth in the beating in your chest. The time has come, will shadows fall around us. Have no choice, we get the final say. Mighty hearts, you're marching into something. One must have loved to let them know we're coming. Hope's all that we know, all that we fight for. And if it's all that we know, then what do we wait for? Hope's all that we know, all that we fight for. And if it's all that we know, then what do we wait for?
Jump to your feet. Jump to your feet if you're able. Boy, I'm reminded by the power of music today. That was my first love. I could care less about the preaching. It was the music. In the end, who knows? It'll probably be the music, y'all. All right, let me prepare us for the Eucharist, and then I'm going to have to duck out the back door. I'm very sorry. Melinda, you're in charge, okay? All right. You guys know how this works. Around the stained glass, we'll have a gluten-free version of the body of Jesus, transferred across time and ages. Ask me later, it's a mystery. It's actually not, it's just bread. That's the point, right? All bread is holy, so there you go. Almighty God, to whom all hearts are open and all desires are known, where could we hide from your love? Oh, how we've tried. Remind us in this very instant and in the instant that follows of our cleansing, which is a completed work in your Spirit, that in response we may perfectly love you as you perfectly love us through Christ. And Christ, our example and friend, the one who still whispers to our broken heart, invites each of us to a place at a common table, a place that will only ever have been set for you. No one ever will sit in that place but you. So as a congregation, as a community, as a people, as we wholeheartedly seek to live and walk in love and peace and justice and the hard work of advocacy with ourselves, with our demons, with our angels, with communities around us, Let us in so doing now turn our hearts completely to God with these words. Pray them with me. Merciful God, we believe that you accept our heartfelt confessions today. Knowing you to be gentle and kind, even when we are not, we confess. We have been distracted, at times lacking in love. We have failed to love our neighbor as ourselves because we have failed to love ourselves as you do. So forgive us, we pray, and free us to be a people of peace through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. And it was an average Thursday night, and he lifted bread among friends, and it was all about to happen quickly. And he said, I've got it. This is the symbol. My body is about to go through this. And he broke the bread. And I don't think they inhaled or exhaled for a few moments because it couldn't have possibly made any more sense than it still makes to us. Then he lifted a cup and he sealed the deal for all involved. That includes you and me. So let's pray these words as we approach the table. Friends, if you grew up in a church that taught you you can't approach the communion unless your heart is free of sin, I'm asking you to set aside everything you've ever been taught except that you are unconditionally and universally loved, that you are fully, hear me, fully accepted to stand on your own 2 feet in the presence of anyone, including God, and partake of the bread that is all holy now. If you're worried about what this looks like or what you're able to do, I'm asking you to set that aside. Approach the table, sustain your body in the world, give yourself the energy that the ancient star nurseries gave to you through the explosion of atoms and molecules and things across time. Give yourself that energy to love all, to take love everywhere. Pray these words with me. Our Father and Mother who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not to temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
This'll look different in the morning, held in the light of day. Some things can change without warning, others get taken away. It's hard to feel strong in these moments. It's hard to know what we can take. Sometimes you carry on hoping, others your spirit can break. So sleep now, let yourself find some release now. Forget your courage and breathe out. Just for now, just for now, just for now.
In every moment that passes, there is a change in tide. Love that survives through the ashes, it's always been waiting to rise. If you can see through the darkness, if you can feel through the hurt, all this light will be weighed. All that you need will return. Sleep now. Let yourself find some release now. Forget your courage and breathe out. Just for now, just for now, just for now.
yourself find some release now. Forget your courage and breathe out. Just for now, just for now, just for now. Love carries all of us home. Love carries all of us home. Love carries all of us, carries all of us, carries all of us. Love carries all of us home. Love carries all of us home. Love carries all of us, carries all of us, carries all of us. Love carries all of us home. Love carries all of us home. Love carries all of us, carries all of us, carries all of us.
Hello. Hi. I'm Amy, and I had the honor of writing today's benediction for us. Search me. Dive beneath the surface, but don't drown as I do. Snag and snap at the tethers that bind me here. Release me from these depths, the pressures folding in, darkness swallowing every bubble of light. Suddenly yanked from this sea of unseeing, cut from the weight of the world, breath pouring into lungs, an electric shock to my heart, relief washing over my soul as the endless horizon blindingly opens up for me, for us. I could stay in this stillness, in this silence. They say joy is the greatest act of resistance, that hope laughs in the face of fear, striking it down and strutting across its ashes as the tide captures and rolls them away. Let us emerge from our darkest depths and converge on a land of love together. Go with God, with joy, with hope, with love, with open hearts, and with peace.